match of the 2024 World Finals. Best of 5 starting off here. First ban from BLG on that blue side will be the Varus that I mentioned, that power pick in the bottom lane, while T1, they're looking right at Ben. They're banning the Gwen first.
You have to respect that champion for Bin specifically. It's something he can have a monster performance on. It did struggle when playing against Koi. Choosing to run the Ignite is where he ended up getting chain ganked a lot, but still, T1 respecting, they don't want to have to deal with it. The Azir, not an uncommon ban for BLG.
Nope.
Not something that Knight has a huge priority on himself. And of course, against the GOAT, it's a champion that you really can't afford to give it.
It's one of those champions that I feel like is just such a staple of pro play, and particularly for somebody, you already said it, it's the GOAT, it's Faker. You don't want to be giving something like that over for free if you're not willing to pick it yourself. The Vi will be the next ban here for T1. Pretty much a staple jungler this entire year everywhere for the playmaking, the point and click lockdown that we see from it. And now the TF, so this is one that continues to be very debated among the community, because this thing has been highly prioritized, but also highly ineffective so far at MSI. It will be the third ban for BLG as Rumble is banned away from Bin.
Both the Talia and Annie are available. You expect the Talia to be the first pick, and it will be. Knight not going to hesitate, going to grab that one for himself. I wonder if Faker will respond with the Annie of his own, or if instead they're thinking more along the lines of something like the Ryze or the Ahri as a possibility. Throughout this year, we've seen Ahri used as a matchup into the Talia. You pair it alongside something like the Xin Zhao, and you already have a very strong mid-jungle duo right out the gate.
Speaking of mid-jungle, I'm thinking about Pantheon, man. We're talking about powerful champions on the patch. Right there it is, locked in for T1. Pantheon is scary to begin with. In a lot of people's eyes, he's the best jungler on the patch if your jungler knows how to pilot him well. But you combine semi-global with semi-global in mid-jungle, that is a nightmare. T1's going to deny it while also locking in the Orianna for Faker.
Going for a little bit more team fighting, a little bit more mid-control and solid wave clear. Of course, on the Orianna, you've got to be super careful. Does potentially open up for a Jarvan possibility for Beishuan. I wonder if he will just lean more towards the Xin Zhao that we've been seeing a lot from him. You could also go towards something like the Wukong. Bear in mind, though, that with the Pantheon locked in, that means there's no Trundle, which means that champions like Sion massively rise in priority. We've seen this pick just dominate in MSI. It feels like that there are very few champions that can match the teamfight utility that he provides. He's just a very safe side laner, an all-round very effective frontline.
Even in the last series that we just got done watching between CFO and Imkoi, the game from Driver playing the Sion, massive impact on that champion in that one, but that'll be locked in for the side of BLG. You can see it has a 70% win rate so far, like you're talking about. It's been dominating games, and the Poppy will also be picked up. This is, of course, possible flex potential. You can go into the jungle with this. You can play from the support position with this, but T1's answer into the top lane Sion is the Yorick for Doran.
So a little bit more split push power. You can already see that T1 with the Pantheon and the Yorick rather have tools to play through the side, try and punish this Sion who's going to be looking to try and safely farm up. But BLG have already started to craft this effective front-to-back team fight style composition. BLG need a little bit more DPS, so I imagine T1, if they're going to look to try and ban, maybe they get rid of some of that long-range tools. They've already decided to target the Karma. That does weaken the potential of a Caitlyn Karma on the bot side of the map, but I do wonder if they look to get rid of something like the Caitlyn if they want to have that long-range damage threshold coming in for the backside. Alternatively, they could consider the Misfortune, a very effective LPL team-fighting AD carry that fits nicely into a composition like this that's looking for the front-to-back.
Okay, clock runs down on BLG's next ban, so they will decide to take the Lucian off the table, thinking, all right, if they've already locked in the entire top side, that leaves them open to potentially grab one of these spicy bot lane duos. Lucian's one of the ones that can play very aggressively. They're going to want to deny that from Gumayusi and Keria, especially when you see the Karma banned away. That tells you that you're trying to ban away anything that would be the long-range, take over the lane, oppressive poke style, which is typically something that can shut down these aggro bot lanes. So BLG is going to respond, getting rid of the Lucian, as On's Rakan is banned out by T1.
These bans do suggest that T1 might be looking at either an Alistar or even a Braum. If they want something a little bit more defensive, I think both these champions can be very effective into the Braum. But also, I think T1 can save their support for the last pick. I expect the AD carry to come through now, try and give Carrier and Guma the best possible bot lane 2 versus 2 matchup, but also allow Carrier the freedom to kind of round out this composition nicely. The Nico right now is the hover. And it's going to be locked in immediately, so they're just going to put that towards the bot side of the map, already giving you a very strong 2 versus 2. BLG, yeah, they're going to deny the Kalista away from Guma, and they're going to pair it alongside the Renata. Another champion that we really haven't seen have a lot of success so far at MSI. It feels like Kalista really does struggle to get through so many of the frontliners that we have in the current meta, and with Pantheon constantly diving on your face, many AD carries just struggle to play in this current meta.
Right, can be very difficult to deal with. One good thing, at least for the Kalista, there is not a true massive tank on the side of T1. Pantheon and Yorick, both bruisers. Yes, they can be difficult to deal with, but it's not like trying to punch through a Scion or an Ornn or something similar. Last pick of the draft, red 5 for T1 is the Jhin for Gumayushi. So Jhin Nico versus Kalista Renata here in the bottom lane. Vedius, I asked this question to my co-caster at the end of every single draft. I gotta ask you now, who has the edge here now that we see all 10 picks?
I think both comps, honestly, have very clear strengths and weaknesses. I think the BLG want to play a slightly slower game. When you draft that Kalista Renata, my instincts are always that you want to try and play aggressively through the bot side of the map. But with the Poppy, you don't necessarily have the best tools. I think T1 have a lot more early game agency, especially on that bot side of the map. Gumayushi getting his hands on his fabled Jhin when paired up alongside the Nico gives you a very present, very effective bot lane 2 versus 2, and with a Pantheon alongside it, if they can land that poke, T1 is going to set their sights on the dive. So in the early game, I very much like what T1 have drafted for themselves. I think they have a lot of options to get this game going.
With Talia on one side and Pantheon on the other, I'm really looking to see how they use these long-range ultimates, how they cash in on the value of these semi-globals to create unfair fights and force these situations that can give themselves an edge.
The arena is packed for T1 versus BLG. The energy feels amazing here in Vancouver. And I mean, we can feel it here at the Caster Desk.
Yes, sir.
The crowd is feeling good. We're getting ready for game 1 of this best of 5. A rematch over the last few years that has gone back and forth, with T1 currently holding the advantage as the reigning world champions. Doran gonna face check.
Yeah, Doran walks right into the brush there. Beishwan's waiting, and so is Knight. Doran's gonna take a lot more damage here than he would like to. Beishwan and Knight continue their chase. More rocks are flying out. Beishwan's going in. Doran nearly killed off, but he barely survived.
We start off with a very oh, Knight!
Knight, oh.
That was cheeky.
Seeing if maybe he could catch Doran window shopping there,
that
maybe.
was cheeky by Knight. He thought that he could get the finish, but he does not. That means we get a Trader Summoner spells. Doran no flash, Beishwan no flash. Perhaps that means that Beishwan's going to change up his pathing, maybe set his sights on a top lane play for a potential early gank. You'll see him actually pathing towards his Raptors, likely going to start there, as Ona's going to start on his top side, as we kind of expected. Gumayushi and Gumayushi in the bot lane 2 versus 2. Carrier now shows up by surprise. They're going to look to try and get the advantage in the 2 versus 2. Expect a lot of trading in this bot lane matchup.
Oh yes, and you can see right here, this is your rematch, 2024 World Finals. It was a full 5-game series, BLG winning, then T1 winning, then BLG winning, then T1 winning, and finally at the finish line, T1 clutched the game 5 for the 3-2 victory to hoist the Summoners Cup, and you know BLG are hungry to get revenge for that loss here at MSI.
I mean, it was that final where we really got to see the unkillable Demon King himself.
Yeah.
Faker earning the finals MVP, having a standout performance in that series. When we come to this MSI, Faker did struggle in his first matchup against Tonkyu. He was put on the back foot in multiple games of that series, and I feel like Knight really has been a standout for the side of BLG. One of the core components of what helped BLG even qualify for this MSI. And already we see Knight off to an early push in the matchup. Very much what we expect. See him move into the fog of war, act as that potential threat, moving around, potentially working with his jungler. Now, we know that Beishuan is pathing up towards the top side, a potential dangerous avenue that T1 has to respect. And on the bot side of the map, Owner is getting closer and closer. The health bars, though, of both Elk and On, very good right now. No real risk of a dive.
Yeah. And checking back in on what we were thinking about after that bit of a dicey start there in the top lane for Doran. The push originally did go to Bin. Doran was underneath the turret, but now you can see that wave is pushing back out right around the time that Beishuan is finishing those camps in this top side of the jungle. About to kill his blue now. He's going to path up towards this top lane. Now, Doran's going toward the Pixel Brush at exactly the same time that Beishuan's making his entry. Doran, with a nice use of the cage there, does block Beishuan's ideal entry point, but still a little bit of damage from the Poppy to harass Doran a little bit more, but not really a huge threat coming out just yet. Doran manages to keep himself out of trouble.
I will say, Sion plus Poppy, not the most effective early game ganking duo.
Not really.
You can definitely be annoying. And I think Doran is a little annoyed, but aside from that, he's not in too much danger. The wave state is in a fairly healthy spot. Faker will take a bit of damage, but Owner already setting his sights on the Raptors respawn.
It's the #1 minigame for junglers to play. Mark those chickens, steal them away at every respawn you can get, but Beishuan is here to contest, wants to fight Owner for this second set of the chickens. Owner, though, has the smite on the large chicken. As On has to sidestep the deadly flourish down in the bottom lane scrap at the same time. Owner with control over the jungle of Beishuan here in this red quadrant, as Beishuan will make his way back out. There's nothing else right now for Owner to go after because of the Krug camp still not being something that's within his reach. Since Elk and On are all the way back behind the turret, they would easily be able to come help Beishuan. So Owner's just going to take his one camp steal and walk away from it. Back up top side, continuing the trading between these two. As long as Bin is able to just keep trading and farming early on, he's going to be just fine. The Scion can be so powerful into the Yorick. The Soul Furnace is powered by ghouls. They count as coal every single time he farms these things up. He's getting extra power on the W, extra maximum health to be that massive front line.
Going to be a train with a lot of power behind it. That's
yes,
for sure.
sir.
We'll see how impactful that train will be later on into the game. I just want to come back to that Owner pathing that you were talking about. I love the fact that he started with the red, moving to his Krugs, and then Raptors with the full intent on stealing the enemy Raptors, knowing that he's going to be able to work with Faker to get that mid push, be able to contest those Raptors, steal away what he can, and then the Raptors will respawn that little bit later, so he can then path back towards the Krugs, path nicely back through his jungle, and now he's going to continue on with that full clear. As right now we have a very timid, very safe early game with the swap coming through from BLG. Nothing too surprising. Something that we see often is not only can you get yourself out of a little bit more of a difficult 2 versus 2 matchup, but Sion loves, I always say this, loves being on the weak side. Obviously, players don't love being in a 1v2.
Nobody loves it.
But Bin doesn't mind it when playing the Sion champ.
As now Doran could be in a little bit of danger here. Nope, not quite. On and Elk aren't in range to back up Beishuan. There's no wall for the wall slam from the Poppy to actually find the big value there. So Doran's still all right, does have his Maiden of the Mist ready to be summoned, but does not want to summon it up at a time when these swaps are happening, when you could end up in a 1v3 situation, have the Maiden deleted very swiftly, especially with Beishuan having the smite available. If you lose that Maiden early, the cooldown is so long, it feels really bad, and you feel like you've lost a huge part of the power budget of your character, as now the Pantheon from T1. Owner has secured the first Drake of the game, 6 minutes and 45 seconds in. Beishuan coming back up into the top side. Doran forced to flash away again, but nice handshake brings him right on back, and BLG get first blood.
Owner, though, setting his sights on mid.
Right, flashing away, stays safe from that one as Karia's Tangle Barb's going to force out the summoner spell from the BLG mid laner, but it does cost Karia's flash at the same time.
Okay, so a lot of things happen. Ooh, the Shockwave connects.
Nice Shockwave from Faker to chunk Knight, but not threaten lethal damage.
He's just chipping away at HP though, and he's doing damage because he's just denying a lot of farm away from Knight. You'll notice the mid gold gap really starting to increase in Faker's favor. We don't get a chance to talk about the previous play.
Yeah, Carry is already in danger. Remember, he used his flash trying to go after Knight. Now he's already dead. Owner wants to jump in and make something else happen, but he has to flash back over the wall. As On, Elk, and Beishuan continue going forward. Elk needs a bailout if he wants to survive, and he gets it! Elk stays alive! Gumayushi tries to fire back, but he's reload the gun. Now the curtain calls open on sidestepping 3. The 4th can't hit Beishuan, but the dancing grenade dances on his grave. BLG up 3-1.
Action-packed is what we were hoping for, and BLG deliver, finding kill after kill, all being funneled into Elk is a fantastic start for BLG. T1 played for the Dragon. The swap was initiated by BLG. They recognized that they couldn't really do much to help Doran in this situation, but I don't think they were quite expecting this. After their gank attempt in the mid lane, Kerry is trying to group up with his AD carry, but he gets collapsed on by Baserun, not expecting him to invade on the top side. He falls short, but then the Pantheon ultimate had already been committed. There's little that Ona can do. He has to turn and fight. Guma does his best to help him, but he ends up proccing the bailout with all those spears stacking up in Ona, allowing him to get the revive and turning it into another kill. Baserun out of options, out of ways to escape. At the very least, Gumayushi will get one back.
And you could see at the end there, Gumayushi, he takes 3 shots at the escaping players from BLG, thinks maybe he can convert that 4th onto Beishuan, but Beishuan had the distance to sidestep the curtain call. Sadly, Dancing Grenade, more of a targeted ability, can't quite get away from that one, as Elk takes a chunk of damage back on live now, as our bottom lane duos continue to scrap back and forth topside, both junglers still hanging around this area as well. These trios of junglers and bottom laners are so aggro in the early stages of this game. It's a very modest gold lead for the side of BLG, but really nothing to write home about. Bin happy to just ult back down into the bottom lane, clear out the wave. Nice chunk of damage onto Doran there as well.
Choo-choo, Bin continues to build an advantage, and it's really him that benefited so much from all that action that was happening. Doran getting killed. He was also able to get a plate in the bot lane on the bottom side of the map. And these teams are violent. They are tied for the highest kills per minute at MSI in 2025. A Clash of Titans is an apt title, given the pedigree of players that we have on stage right now. BLG have accrued a small advantage, but what I will say that surprises me is the goal difference between the AD carries is actually not that big.
No.
Guma has actually been able to get himself a small gold lead, all because of the farm that he was able to generate while all that action was happening on the Rift, getting 1 kill for himself. But considering that is a 3-0 Kalista, Guma is kind of unfazed.
Yeah, it's a lot of times what we're seeing get picked into these Kalistas that ends up making them not as effective as you would otherwise expect them to be. The power of range, the power of just bullying them away from playing as aggro as they want to. Nico throws out a Tangle Barb, Jhin hits you with a Deadly Flourish into the Dancing Grenade with a hopefully 4th shot auto attack, and all of a sudden the Kalista doesn't feel as empowered to run the lane like she wants to. Gumayushi with a 4-wave lead, almost 5 waves of minions ahead of his opponent. Really feeling good about the state of things there. As you already said it, man, it's just the slightest gold lead for BLG. They do have those first 3 grubs. T1, of course, though, did secure the first Drake, and the next one is spawning in about 25 seconds. You can see T1 trying to get this wave pushed out down here in the bottom lane as Beishuan takes control over that bottom side of mid towards the river for BLG.
Getting closer to the second dragon spawn of the game. TP will be used by Knight to return to mid lane. Sundered Sky finished for both junglers as Beishuan fishing for a mid lane play. Not going to find one. It is BLG that gain access to the river first. The bot wave contest is going to be super important as both these AD carries want to be in a position to fight. With the Youmuu's completed for Guma, he should have a slight advantage over Elk. No Blade of the Ruin King finished just yet, but T1 do not want to give this up without a fight.
Owner jumps in, immediately goes for the stun on the Knight. Carry with a bomb blast him onto 3, but the backup damage isn't quite there. Owner's going to be chased away next. The Deadly Flourish doesn't hit Elk. Owner's going to take a ton of damage. The bailout from Elk is not there in time. Faker Shockwave finds 2, and T1 get a double kill for their Orianna and take the fight.
Just like that, T1 flipped the fight on its head, and they get themselves 3 kills. BLG, it looked so good at the start of the fight for them. Faker wasn't involved. He had to go the long way round. Owner initiates the play, Carrier's ultimate looks fantastic, but then the re-engage from BLG is even better. Carrier's out of tools. He has to flash away. They're thinking, oh, Elk, he can come back to life if he can just get the kill, but then the shockwave comes through and finishes him off. Faker arrives at just the right time to secure a double kill. T1 get 3, they get the Dragon, and they take firm control in this early game.
I said it was 2, but it was more like 2.5 because Elk was bailouted, but he still got hit by the thing. The shockwave sealed the deal, but the fight navigated so well by T1. Carrier's Pop Blossom buying the time for the reinforcements to arrive. And at the very end, I also do want to compliment On, who perfectly blocked the deadly flourish from Gumayusi, stopping that one from hitting Elk. BLG tried, but T1 played it better. Look at the damage in the last fight from Owner, beating the next closest damage by almost a full 1,000. There's a reason that this champion is considered by many to be the best jungler on the patch, as Beishuan goes in for Faker, and now it's trouble for the T1 mid lane. The handshake pulls him right on back. Knight's got enough damage, and a shutdown for BLG.
Now, BLG are not the type of team to go out without a fight. Nice pick onto Faker. Even though he had his flash, they collapsed on multiple sides, and they make the kill happen. T1 still holds on to a gold lead for now, but Knight, with some much-needed relief after the amount of push that Faker has had in this early game after getting a double kill, they've really needed to get some gold back into Knight's pockets.
Knight on this Talia, that could be the playmaker they need, and they're trying to get him there with plays like this.
A nice flash shockwave from Faker, but then he gets handshaked back into the team. He then decides in his last moments, maybe I can get a few more minion waves, but he's just gonna shake that one off. A nice collapse comes through from BLG. You can now see the gold difference between the two mid laners very even, but the gold advantage largely sitting on Owner and Gumayusi.
Plates you can see here as we are now past that 14-minute point. A few for both sides, but not a major difference in the game being decided by them. However, the difference in plates is kind of the gold lead right now for T1. The game is that close, only a couple hundred. This time favoring the number 2 seed of the LCK. The Rift Herald about to spawn in only a few seconds. BLG bringing everybody up here. Now Knight will have his teleport. I believe there's still a few seconds remaining on that cooldown to use that to make his way into the fight, but Faker has been found out. Beishuan tackles Faker out of the decimating smash, and Owner's made his way into the fight, but he's immediately ejected by the Keeper's verdict. Faker still under pressure. Decimating smash hits this time, but Ben and Beishuan don't have any damage. Ben tries to get away, but a Pop Blossom locks him up. A deadly flourish to follow. Hostile takeover saves Ben's life as Elk and On try to fire into Gumayusi. Elk goes forward. Gumayusi still shielded and getting away as Faker's the target for On, but Elk and On have overextended. Faker's already killed On as T1 scramble for defense, and BLG way overplay their hand.
T1 do not lose a single member. BLG collapse onto Faker, but the Avengers descend in an instant. T1 are there to protect their mid laner. They turn the play massively in their favor, getting 3 kills as well. You called it, Flowers. The synergy knocking him out of Bin's Q means that that extra bit of damage doesn't connect on the Faker. A good shockwave buys time for Owner to arrive, but then when Owner gets knocked out, Bin thinks that there's a way for him to turn the play still in his favor. He's then forced back. He has to flash away. On and Elk make their presence known, isolating Gumayusi. But then at this point, you feel like you're going too deep. We're back to live.
We're already back to live, and Faker's got another target on his back. He's got another shockwave on BLG, and Carrier picks up the kill. They just keep going for him, and he just keeps hitting them right in the mouth. Faker gets it done again.
It feels like Faker's shockwave just continues to find them all. 8-4 is the kill score. BLG have set their sights onto Faker, but he only finds himself with a single death so far in this game. Dragon spawning, 30 seconds, Bin unleashes.
Bin unleashes, he finds a target, but it's only a Nico clone. The power of this ability as now another catch for T1. Spells the end of Beishuan in this river. The death timer's 30, the Drake timer's 15. This is gonna be sole point for the side of T1. 17 minutes into the game. Meanwhile, tell Vedius, we haven't seen Doran in a while. That's because he's doing a little bit of construction work in the side lanes, flashing forward after Knight to try to get this kill in the solo. The Maiden of the Mist giving him the lifesteal. He's trying to sidestep. He only needed an inch to get close enough to swing the shovel, but Knight denies it. While Doran drops to the BLG mid laner in the top side, the Herald is going to be summoned in mid lane. The Drake is going to be taken. It's Soul Point 18 minutes in for T1.
My goodness, T1 is running away with game one. 3 dragons to their name. And while Knight does at the very least get a kill back, it's really only a small amount in the drop of the advantage that T1 has. Doran recognizes if he just tries to run away, he's going to get chased down by Knight. He flashes forward, gets a bit of health back with the Q, and he realizes, oh, if I can just get one more Q off, maybe I can turn this in my favor. The Seraph Shield's procced. He can't close the gap quickly enough, and Knight secures a kill. Doran largely going to be unfazed by that, though, as he should be. With the lead that T1 have, they're still in full control of this game.
Exactly. Doran is the demo man in this game. The side lane turrets have been his targets, and he has been achieving those objectives. 4,000 gold lead, 3 Drake lead for the side of T1. All BLG really has here are those 3 Void Grubs, but Vedius, when you're this far down, you can't get to the turrets. On, forced to be saved by Elk, as Doran's gonna take a ton of damage in a counterattack. Nice kill for BLG, and they're about to make it 2. Keria in danger, but now Beishwan stunned up by the Pantheon, forced to flash to survive. Faker flashes forward, but he can't get the distance in time. He keeps looking for more. Owner wants to make his way in with another shockwave, finding its way onto Elk. On drops next. Goma Yushi's got his number, and T1's counting bodies. Another Plot Blossom, another double kill of a Faker. Beishwan dies to a point-blank spear, and T1 runs the rift.
BLG get a kill onto Doran, but look at what it cost them. 4 members fall, and T1 are steamrolling over BLG. It starts with On getting caught in the mid lane, but Elk has the ultimate to bring him to safety. Then with the Renata ultimate dropped, Oren is quick to fall. Now BLG see an opportunity to go onto the offensive, but they go too deep. The single target CC that comes out from T1 forces Beishwan immediately on the retreat, and Faker says, I don't need to run away, I need to run forward. I know that I have Owner at my back. The shockwave connects onto Elk, the deadly flourish connects onto On, and then Bin arrives just too late to turn the fight in their favor. And I don't know how Keria found this angle, but he gets the route onto 2. They convert it into 4 kills, and T1 are steamrolling.
That Tangle Barb was disgusting to hit them both. T1, 5,500 gold lead now. Vedius, it's only 2.5 minutes, and T1 will claim the Infernal Soul unless BLG can somehow stop them. But everything has gone T1's way for what feels like the past 10 straight minutes.
5.6k is the gold lead. BLG trying to find some footing in this game, but the Soul 2 minutes away. Push on the bot side, push on the top side for T1. They're keeping mid control as well. BLG is being suffocated out of their jungle. Beishwan's found an angle in.
This is another one of this play we've seen so often. Faker is the target for BLG. He drops a shockwave, and now BLG's got to be on the defensive. Beishwan channels Keeper's verdict, ends up not needing that one, but now that cooldown is spent. T1 recognizing that BLG now has a very injured front line. They're going to go after the Otacon, immediately ready to start this one up, as BLG know they can't afford to give an objective away when they're already this far down. Faker trying to use the ball to zone On out. Hostile takeover goes through, but it doesn't find much of anything else. Going to be zoned away now by the rest of T1 as immediately you got a problem for Doran. Beishwan takes him down. Curtain call's been opened up. Beishwan might just die here. One last shot goes through, and the 4th shot finds its mark. Now Bin trying to steal away the Otacon, but it's not going to matter. Doran and Beishwan have been traded, but everybody else is still alive. Faker claims the Otacon, and T1 get the objective as they look potentially for more of a fight. Keria thinking about a Tangle Barb here, but he can't get the range in time. Bin still here on the front line, gets caught by the Tangle Barb. Keria knocked into the unraveled earth, but he stays alive for now. Owner steps forward with a shield, not quite enough damage. Shut down from Elk, but Faker takes out 2. T1 unrelenting as Keria kills Knight over the wall, and only Bin is left standing. Good Gumayushi fires another shot, but it's a triple kill for Faker to seal the deal.
T1 will leave no survivors. The Arakan was not enough. They saw blood in their eyes, and they took out the rest of the BLG roster. A tier 2 tower will fall, and it looks quite separated. BLG pick a fight on the top side, while T1 set their sights onto Elk. The cleanse is good from the Kalista. He creates enough space, but now he's out of the fight. While they do get that pick onto Doran, Gumayushi responds with so much damage onto Beishuan. The fourth shot connects. It ends up being a 4 versus 4, but BLG just don't have the HB to play with. What surprised me is T1 said, we can still fight this. Look at the TP on your minimap. Faker comes in from the angle. He comes through the fog of war to come in from behind BLG, unsuspecting. And Faker makes the magic happen once again. A triple kill for the Orianna. Knight gets killed over the wall. And T1 with a statement game here to start off the series.
Faker's Orianna is a miracle worker in this game. He has found so many plays, so many counter plays, and T1 now with an Infernal Soul with 20 flowers of a lead thanks to the Otacon harvesting everything for them. They are so strong. BLG will need a full-on miracle to not drop this game 1 in our best of 5 World Finals rematch. Beishuan out on the map trying to see if he can get any sort of useful information, but it's so tough, Vedius. Look at all of the vision placed down by T1. They've got wards all over the jungle. Damage dealt in the last team fight, nearly 8,000 on the Orianna. It's almost as much as I actually think it is as much as the entire enemy team put together. Doran flashing away from the unraveled earth, manages to not get caught out there. And T1 just continues slow and steady pushing up until they get their moment to make something happen. Fake Faker and real Faker stepping up to just completely scare BLG all the way back. And we've got 20 seconds until Baron spawns. T1 just fishing to see if they can find anything, but not wanting to overcommit because they know you get Baron, you walk it down a lane of your choosing, you win the first game.
So much of this game has been about Faker, but the quiet carry, Gumayushi, with a 3-0-13 scoreline. Faker to the target.
Faker caught, handshake from On. This could be huge, but Faker with a nice shockwave ready to turn it around. The hostile takeover ain't gonna do anything as On tries to get away, and Beishuan flashes back over the wall. Owner ready to hunt him down. The spear doesn't hit the target, and now On right back out of the Kalista ulti trying to stay alive. Faker with a nice use of the stasis, keeping himself alive and healthy as the curtain call opens. BLG gonna take a couple of shots from this one, has been body blocks for Knight. T1 won't get any kills, but it's a big win in terms of health bars, and they head back up towards, wait a second, Beishuan's going on a magical trip. Okay, he will at least be able to escape for now, but the enemy jungler's at 10% HP, and he has to recall. T1 sees the green light to go for the Baron.
Exactly that, Flowers. It's too difficult for BLG to contest this objective. They're still gonna try, though. The TP comes through from Knight.
It's a full send from BLG, perhaps, as Keria goes in. He finds the pop blossom of the BLG mid laner, and Knight is already dead as the fight starts. Ben's made his way into the back, but Faker will not be threatened by a Scion alone. Owner continues pressing forward, and Gumayushi puts the kill shot into On. Beishuan's the next to fall, and Doran buries him. T1 with a Baron plus 3 kills will force their way into the base. Elk continues fighting and kiting and trying to get away. The deadly flourish doesn't connect, but it gives him enough space to get the kill right after. Guma's unstoppable, and only Ben is standing. T1 slam this first game.
Gumayushi involved in 20 of the team's 22 kills, has the Nexus in his eyes, and is looking to close things out.
The Nexus turrets are nothing but a formality. Ben's health bar, the same thing as T1. It was close for about 10 minutes, and then it was not ever again in this first one. T1 takes game 1.
A dominant showcase from T1 as they dismantle BLG.
Awesome showing from the LCK #2 seed. Let's head on over to the analyst desk to break it down.
The atmosphere is absolutely phenomenal here in Vancouver, and guys, Faker called it. He said, we're gonna make you guys relive that World Finals nightmare.